Good morning.
Roy, UVA runs a kind of an unusual offense in college basketball, and that their bigs are their perimeter three-point shooters. How does that affect the way you run your defense against them?
Well, it's going to be a challenge because we're going to have Armando, Dayron, Walker, Garrison go all the way out to the three-point line, and I'm just looking at their stats right now. Hauser's shooting 42%, Huff's shooting 46%, and Kerwin's the only guy that we have that is shooting the ball like they do. So, no, it's a challenge, and it's something that their whole team, they shoot threes, every player, but they shoot very good threes. And it's within the part of their offense. They don't take bad shots. And, I mean, in today's times, field goal percentages used to be a lot higher than they are now, but Tony's club's shooting 49.5% from the floor, and that's fantastic. That's one of the strengths of their team. And I've had teams before in the old days that averaged 50% for the whole year. Now we're trying to get above 20.
Josh Graham.
I had another question on what Virginia's doing. Since so many of the problems that you guys have had the last few games have been based in turnovers, and many of the guys that you have on your team haven't faced the UVA pack line before, how much of an emphasis has taking care of the basketball been this week in a low possession game?
Well, we've talked about it. There's no question about that. For us, their defense is a very sound defense. I've always thought that I would like to look into that and possibly change, but I'm too old and I like the more aggressive trying to steal the ball. I don't like our defense this year by any means. There hasn't been too many games where I thought our defense was a key factor in the game. And we have had teams like that in the past that I thought our defense was a key factor. But they're fantastic defensively. Every possession is more important because there's going to be fewer possessions during the game. But every possession is more important on both ends, not just the offense or defense, but on both ends. You've got to be able to guard and not have a breakdown, because if they score just because one of your breakdowns, that's silly. And at the same time, you don't want to take bad shots and turn the ball over. And for a lot of our seasons so far this year, that's been the description of our offense, is turnovers and bad shots. But we're getting a little bit better. This is the biggest challenge that we'll have all year long. There's no question.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Josh. C.L. Brown.
Roy, how difficult or trying has this week been, given how it started with the postponement of
Well, it was, I'm just trying to think. I can't ever remember anything that frustrated me like this. I've never had a game postponed like that. So it was not my favorite moment, I can tell you that. It's from midnight Saturday night when I stopped thinking about our game against Duke and started focusing on Miami. From that time until the last 24 hours or so was something I did not enjoy, did not like. Don't ever want to go through it again, but you got to move on, and that's what we're trying to do, is move on, put it behind us.
Ross Martin.
Yeah, Coach, I kind of want to build on that. You said they were going to pay a very significant price. What was the conditioning like this week for some of the players? Is there anything you can tell us about what they went through?
No, because it's we said we would handle it internally, and that's what we've done. It came out, and this will be the only statement. So if every one of you, and I'm thinking 15 faces up there, if you want to ask another question about what happened this weekend, just forget it, because I'm not answering anything after this. But it was not at a fraternity house. It was not on Franklin Street. It was within our group of players and managers, and very few other people got involved. And it's something, and I don't think Jeff Lebo would mind me saying this. I told Jeff Lebo that our team did the same thing he did 100 times, but there was nobody putting it on video. I was upset about it. I'm still upset about it. But let's not make it out like we charged the Capitol building or anything like that. That's not what it was. It was not a freestanding party at some fraternity house or in the middle of Franklin Street. And I've handled it what I think is very appropriately. And like I say, if anybody wants to talk about anything else regarding that, then just say so, and we'll all go eat a sausage biscuit or something like that, because we've made enough statements, and I didn't like some of the things that happened, to say the least, but also didn't like some of the things that what our kids were portrayed as.
Mike Barber from Richmond.
Yeah, Roy, when you look at Sam Hauser for them and the matchup he creates, what do you see and what makes him tough to defend?
Well, and I think, Mike, it's probably the most difficult matchup for us you've already identified there. I watched their Georgia Tech game, and they had Jose Alvarado guarding him, and he guarded him both times that they played. Normally, I would say we're just going to put Leaky on him or something like that, but those two big guys do create tremendous matchup problems for them. And if you look at it, guys, and I'm looking at it right now, they do have 4 guys averaging in double figures, and some of those other guys have gotten healthy and have come along. And we do have to focus on Sam. He's their leading scorer. He's shooting 52% from the floor. The second leading scorer is Jay, and he's shooting 63%. So those are big-time matchups for us, and they both cause problems. And our bigger guys have really got to understand they've got to get out on the floor and play defense.
Greg Barnes.
Hey, Roy, you've expressed an interest in playing as many games as you can. Now that there's been 2 that have been postponed, that have not been rescheduled. Is there a consistent dialogue with the league office in trying to get some of these things rescheduled in the coming weeks?
I'm not involved in those, but I think that Clint Gwaltney and Bubba are having those conversations, and we really want to try to reschedule those games. I mean, guys, we're sitting here right now, and it's what the crap is today, February 12th? Yes. February 12th, we played 6 home games. You look at everybody's schedule around the country, there's not many teams, if any, that has only played 6 home games. And so we'd like, we've, quote, lost, at least been postponed. They haven't been canceled yet, but we've lost 2 home games. So right now we're going to play 10 road games in the league and 8 home games. That's not very good. So, yeah, we're trying to do everything we can to try to have some of these games rescheduled.
Thanks.
Andrew Jones.
Hey, Coach, you just mentioned Jay Huff a minute ago. How unique a player is he, and what is the primary challenge that he presents? Is it on the defensive end or is it on the offensive end?
Andrew, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, you watched their Georgia Tech game, and that was a big-time block right at the end of the first half against Moses. I mean, and Moses is pretty effective offensive player, but he is a guy that he has 40 blocks, and so he's very selective. But also to step out there and be able to shoot that ball 40, can't see, these numbers are so small, 46% from three-point line. So he causes us problems on both ends of the floor. Again, as I said earlier, we've got to get out and guard him. But the other thing is we've got to try to do everything we can to be very strong with our moves inside and hopefully get Jay in foul trouble.
Thank you.
Alyssa Ray.
Coach, with no preseason, a little slower start for the freshmen to get rolling this season. Out of their production and their confidence as of late, do you think they're where they should be now at this point in the season?
No, because I always think you can do better. We've had some freshmen that were outstanding and just kept getting better and better and better, and these guys have been a little slower getting into it. Dayron had some big-time games earlier than Caleb or RJ or Walker or Kerwin, for example, but I do believe it's time now to go ahead and be a basketball player. Today is practice number 71, and that's not even including the workouts this summer when we were here. And we've had 18 games and 19 pregame meals, but 18 games. And so there's an experience factor there that should be a heck of a lot better. And I've told them we're not calling you freshmen any longer, and usually that only comes up when we get our tails beaten. So I hate to say, well, we have 7 freshmen. I mean, by now you got to play better.
Adam Smith.
Hey, Roy, just on the subject of trying to add those postponed games back to the schedule, like, how do you do it? I mean, it's the regular season ends March 6th, I think it is, and you don't really have an open date in there. Like, what's the approach to trying to squeeze those things back in? What are you guys talking about?
Yeah, Adam, there's a couple of dates that I think it could be a possibility that we've thrown out there, and we've got to wait and let the conference office see if they can make something happen. But I am of the opinion if they don't do it, I'm willing to go ahead and play somebody else because we'd like to play more games and we'd like to do those kind of things. So, we have opportunities because there's a lot of teams in the country that don't have as many games as they want. And we're not at the point yet where we're just going to go out and call people and see if they want to play. We're not doing that. We're trying to give the ACC office an opportunity to talk to both parties in every situation and try to see if we can reschedule some of the games. But, 2 games a week is nice, but guys, we play 3 games a week a lot. Shoot, we've had one year in our schedule, we played 6 games in the first 12 days. And so we're going to try to see if we can throw some options out there and see if we can get somebody to say, okay.
David Teal.
Roy, is part of that motivation to play more games to enhance your NCAA tournament resume? And do you talk to your team about postseason?
David, that's another good question. You guys are really good today. And I guess that sounds like I say most times you're not. That's not what I'm saying. But, no, I think that it is, number one, guys like to play games. And, again, 71 practices. You think about that. 71 practices and 18 games. And so the guys do like to play games. I worry a lot about are we testing them enough? We feel like our schedule is probably in the top 25 or 30, and so we don't feel that badly there. But, yeah, we're trying to do everything we can to play the ACC games. That's what we were scheduled to play. That's my desire. But if we're not going to be able to, if nobody agrees, I'm serious. Clint's never even heard me say this. I'm not against trying to find somebody else to play. And do I talk to my team? I talk from the first meeting we have about what our dreams and goals are. And so we talk about that constantly throughout the year. And the NCAA tournament is one of those goals, but long-term goals, we don't talk about them as much as we do what our goals are today. And today is hopefully having a great practice to get ready to talk about tomorrow's game against Virginia. And so it's a lot of that, David, not particularly. We got to get one more game to see if we can help us get in the NCAA tournament. That's not what we talk about with our team, and that's not what I talk about with Clint and Bubba.
We'll take 2 or 3 more. Taylor, then Greg Hall.
Hey, Coach. Caleb Love had a lot of success in the Duke game out of the horn sets. How have younger teams and point guards in recent years impacted how you've taught your system to where you do incorporate more universal concepts like horns?
We probably run that less than any team in the country, and we ran it the first couple of games in Asheville, and they kept double teaming our freshman point guards, and they turned it over. So we ran it 3 times in 15 games after that. But we did run it a couple of times more in the Duke game than we have. But it's not a huge part of our program, and somebody would. I guess there is some people that analytically do those things, but I have no idea if we ran it 7 times or 700, but I can tell you it's a hell of a lot closer to 7.
Greg Hall.
Roy, after the high of beating Duke and Caleb's performance, I'm just wondering how he responded in practice this week.
I think he's responded well. Guys, with these guys, and again, Caleb in particular, he's never played the point guard in his life until this year. So every day is a laboratory for him. Every day is a classroom. And he'll do some things in practice, and I'll say, that's what I'm talking about. That's what you need to be doing. And then he'll revert back and do something else, and we have to correct him and say, no, that's not what it is. So it's an ongoing, it's not an experiment. Experiment's something that you do, you don't know if it's going to work or not. This is going to work. And so, but it's just teaching and doing it every single day and trying to give him as many opportunities to make decisions and make decisions early. Because I think, those flying through the air, one-handed and one knee up kind of shots, those are the things we need to get rid of, and being more of a facilitator and still scoring. But this, again, is a kid who has never played the point guard until this year, and I think that he's continued to get better and better, and we expect a heck of a lot more improvement out of him.
Last question, Mike Barber again.
Yeah, Roy, two quick logistical things. We're getting socked with snow pretty well here. What is the travel plans for the team? And then can you tell me, I know you said internal discipline, will you be full personnel for the game Saturday here in Charlottesville?
We will be full personnel. That was the easiest one to answer, unless somebody gets an earache today or something like that. But I just visited this morning. We've had some conversations. Let's check with the bus. We're busing up. Let's check with the bus people and see what they think about the weather. And we're supposed to leave as soon as we practice and eat this afternoon. And I'm leaving it up to them. Mike, I think it's something that I have had conversations this morning about what we need to do, but we're going to leave it up to them to make those decisions.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see some of you tomorrow. Travel safely if you're heading that way.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.